Welcome to Sports CTO Talks. In this series, we would be connecting with industry leaders from the sports and technology domain. I am Ami, your guide on this journey through the minds of amazing leaders in the industry. We will dive deep into discussions about various topics, from AI to cloud, from cybersecurity to sustainability. If it is about sports tech, we are talking about it. Today, we have a very different, innovative, and a young guest with us. We welcome you, Miss Ishita Batra, to the
Thank you.
podcast.
Thank you.
She is the founding partner and IP, Media and Sports at Trailblazer Advocates. It's a boutique law firm that works right at the intersection of law, technology, and creativity. She is a graduate of Symbiosis Law School and holds an LLM in intellectual property at Technology Law University, the National University of Singapore. Ishita specializes in guiding athletes, startups, and companies in sports, media, and entertainment industry, helping them navigate contracts, sponsorships, digital rights, and fast-changing regulatory landscape in India. At Trailblazers, she and her team are known for delivering clear, business-oriented solutions that balance growth with fair play. Once again, we welcome you, Ishita, to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Emmy.
So today she would be talking more on esports and online gaming in India. What are the legal and business challenges? So my first question to you is like recently there was a law of promotion and regulation online gaming act which came out in 2025 which
Hmm.
centralizes regulations over online gaming, includes esports, and I think it has banned all forms of real money gaming across India. So, like how does one foresee the union's authority under this act and how states' historical control over gambling can be navigated, especially, the constitution, what are the constitutional challenges?
Let me begin by saying that the move to centralize the regulation of online gaming with the new act, which is the promotion and regulation of online gaming in many ways, I feel is a landmark intervention. As someone who works as at the intersection of law, business, and society, I do see the value in India having a unified approach to manage the societal risks and at the same time generating economic opportunities for the gaming industry. We are grappling with a patchwork of state laws, with states like Goa being permissive, and then other states like Gujarat or Tamil Nadu exercising blanket prohibitions. Now, what this did was this actually created an incredible operational uncertainty for gaming platforms and also for investors. Central legislation, I would say it at least brings predictability and a framework for innovation. But constitutionally, I would say the story is a bit layered. Now,
Okay.
regulation of betting and gambling is squarely in the state list of the Constitution. That is entry 34 of the 7th schedule. Now, states have long argued, with actually a good reasoning, that gaming implicates local morality, social welfare, and public health, areas where their primacy should be preserved. And also the recent court cases, such as the Madras High Court upholding Tamil Nadu's right to restrict online money games, shows just how strong this principle still is. So the constitutional challenge, I would say, right now with this law is real. Now,
Okay.
Parliament must justify such centralization as a matter of overwhelming national interest, or they would risk some sort of judicial intervention. So, in my view, I feel the way forward is a federal cooperation, a model where the union frames broad based standards and minimum safeguards, while the states retain a role in implementation and then contextual restriction. Only then we could square the circle between innovation, investor certainty, and then our constitutional promise of federalism.
Okay. So, like, I am not a technical person, so I'm going to understand bare minimum of what you said. So, my next question to you would be related to
Hmm.
licensing. Like it is essential part,
Hmm.
it is a compulsory part according to me. So, the act
Hmm.
also has established a National Online Gaming Commission to license
Hmm.
platforms and classify games, like skills, hybrid, or versus
Hmm.
chance. So,
Hmm.
what are the operational and strategic complexities? Do you anticipate in implementing the licensing, the classification across diverse gaming types, and that can be including esports also?
Hmm. Now I feel licensing and classification is actually the real test for this new act.
Okay.
Now, games don't neatly fall into a skill category or a chance bucket. I feel most of these games are hybrid, be it esports, be it any other online games. Now, when we talk about esports, it is recognized in the act, which is, I feel, a big step forward. But many esport titles themselves have random mechanics built in. So, from a practical standpoint, I feel companies will face real operational complexities like game audits, legal vetting, and sometimes conflicting expert opinions on law, compliance perspective, a lot of it.
Okay.
So, setting a central national online gaming commission, I feel, is a necessary leap,
Okay.
but at the same time, defining and classifying games becomes really important.
Correct.
So, right now, my advice for the platforms will be invest in a multidisciplinary compliance team and participate actively in standard setting consultations.
Okay.
Whereas for regulators, I feel regulators like the National ONGC, which is National Online Gaming Commission, should involve scientific bodies and at the same time domain experts so that the classification of games is actually grounded in evidence and it does not become a legal doctrine. And at the same time, this should have real experts like game designers, statisticians, lawyers, not just bureaucrats in the ecosystem. So I think that will balance out a lot of things.
Okay, so when you were talking about the practical approach, like esports is also permitted under the act, but there are
Hmm.
concerns remaining about the ambiguity of the definition, definition
Correct.
potentially like catching in-app
Hmm.
purchases or price pools.
Hmm.
So, how should policymakers or industry as a collaborative approach ensure
Hmm.
to legitimize money?
Hmm. Now, here I would say the policymakers need to be really careful. Now, though esport right now is allowed, it is not banned right now. But if the definition isn't clear in itself, even cosmetic in-app purchases or price pools could actually fall under the ban. So the solution, I would say, lies in the clear carve out.
Okay.
Now, purely aesthetic items like skins, not pay to win mechanisms or price pools based strictly on performance must be explicitly permitted. Industry, I think, as a industry also, everybody should set up, propose some sort of self-regulatory code, publish odds for loot boxes, and adopt more consumer protection safeguards. That way, I feel we protect the players without actually stifling legitimate monetization that is there that any company can do through that game. Now, I feel that is the only way to foster trust. So, legitimate business models, especially in the esport arena, would be preserved from any sort of ban that everybody is talking about.
Correct. So, like, does this or can this remain viable under the law if we talk about from a legal perspective?
That is what exactly I said, that defining what is right and what is not is really important right now. Yes, there is a legislation. Yes, as an industry, I would say everybody, in fact, even the real money gaming companies which are actually banned have also welcomed this move of the government.
Okay.
But it really depends on how it pans out. One, to giving clear rules in addition to that act, because we see, like, right now, if you read the act, there are a lot of loopholes there. There is some
Okay.
sort of unclarity and uncertainty there. That is where the policymakers now need to take the next step, where doing taking industry consultations involving industry stakeholders, be it gaming companies, be it compliance officers, be it lawyers, be it anybody who's a startup who wants to start out, taking their viewpoints into consideration becomes really important. And only then we would be in a better place in terms of what is allowed and what is not allowed.
Correct. So, like when you were talking about this, like there are taxation disputes also according to the
Correct.
right. Like in past, the
Hmm.
GST rules were imposed. I think it was 28% on the
Yes,
entire
yes,
betting amount or something like that.
yes,
So and
yes.
opposed by and it was opposed by operators, and they had argued that it was a platform fee. Should that be taxed or not? So like What is your opinion on that? That is the GST
Um,
favorable, or
mhm,
from a legal standpoint, that is it going to
mhm.
be challenging, or is it going to pivot the industry at the end of the day?
Uh, GST issue, I would say, has been a thorn for years now. Earlier, the taxing the entire bet amount at 28% made no commercial sense. I mean, operators really argued that only the platform fee should be taxed. Now, if courts eventually uphold a narrower view, I think it will reinforce the case for proportionality across the sector.
Okay.
Now, this won't strike down by the ban itself, but it could actually push the policymakers to redefine business model into something like a subscription based or maybe ad based revenue or some fee based structures. And then investors would, I think, breathe a little easier with that clarity.
Okay. So, like, when we were talking about the investors, so it is
Mhm.
like, business is involved. There is the
Mhm.
real money. So, in
Correct.
the gaming industry, real money is involved, which has led many companies like MPL to lay off.
Mhm.
I don't know the exact amount, but it is saying, 60% of the Indian working force. So, like, has that been a great impact on the companies or India as the market as a whole, particularly for the working force? And what can the regulatory shifts affect?
Blunt regulatory changes in any industry, not just this, comes as a genuine shock. And like you gave one of the examples. Now, not just that, a lot of other market leaders are actually they have to. I mean, I'm sure they have no choice but to actually lay off large chunks of their workforce
Correct.
and actually rethink their core product mixes. But at the same time, I would say these companies aren't giving up, which is a great thing. They are actually in the middle of pivoting. What they
Hmm.
are doing is they are shifting their resources to more to free to play models. They are also expanding overseas and they are redeploying their internal talent, which they already have, to esports, streaming, or IP creation. And that is where they are also hiring a lot of new talent. And interestingly, one area that is really growing and not shrinking is the legal and compliance. Firms
Correct.
are beefing up their policy and regulatory teams because navigating the new law is actually now becoming a full-time function. Because, like I said, I feel this is just one of the laws that is coming up. So now interpreting it, how where do they fit in the ecosystem, how the law will evolve, that is where the companies are now really spending their resources and adding up to it too.
So, like, there is a whole segment of VCs in the
Hmm.
sports market. So, like, has their vision changed, on the contractual protections of their own or as a group? Or, is it been shifting, or is it a reliable business market, or are they still investing, or, how is it
Hmm.
today into the main
Uh,
startup, Indian startup market?
for any sort of investors, I think for investor also, like the other areas, investors also, it came as a shock. But at the same
Correct.
time, I would say it is opening up different eras also. So yes, real money gaming is banned, but I feel at the same time there are other areas which will open up. So esport is one of them. Then a lot of sports tech companies. So I feel there will be a lot of investment in these areas now because innovation is what the government wants right now. So
Correct.
yes, it is closing doors on one aspect of the industry, but then opening doors to many other aspect to it. And I'm sure more innovations will happen, and more the innovation, better innovation, markets will open up. And at the same time, I will say it will only change where investors are investing, and whatever shocking investor shock value we are seeing is, I think, is only a temporary issue till the time
Okay.
it just becomes a little clearer as to where the industry is moving next.
Absolutely. And there is a other segment of sponsorship. So
Hmm.
we have seen, like that there are companies, well-known companies who have withdrawn their sponsorships from huge segment of, like, cricket, you say, or any
Hmm.
other game
Hmm.
might be.
Right.
So, and are they putting it into real money gaming, or, is there, like, how is the shift happening? Or, like, are the
Hmm.
strategies changing? or is it only limited to cricket, and or are they expanding the vision to other sports also in India?
Hmm. You know, in the past few days, there is this one huge headline apart from the ban in the RMG is Dream 11's exit from BCCI title
Correct.
sponsorship. Now,
Correct.
this actually underlines a new reality.
Hmm.
Cricket and gaming, which was actually once synonymous, is now finding ways to coexist with the new legal and cultural boundaries. Now, I feel what the gaming companies within the sports industry, what they're doing is now they're just shifting their sponsorship focus. Now they're moving more towards lifestyle, tech, and cultural partnerships, amongst others. I feel we are likely to see more in-game activations, brand partnerships that emphasize more on digital literacy, and perhaps even partnerships with more non-endemic sectors like tech, wellness, education. So I feel it is more of a diversification strategy with a little less visibility in cricket, but more
Okay.
cultural relevance elsewhere.
So, as a legal expert, I just want, like you to explain us
Mhm.
into very nascent language or a very novice language that what are the changes, what have happened, in 3 lines, if you could explain us what are the changes, how
Mhm.
has it impacted the industry?
I would say it is still too early to kind of look at the impact. The clarity right now, the only clarity we have is any type of online gaming money is actually, oh, sorry, online money games is what is banned. Esport is the new arena, and then apart from that, there's another definition, which is online social games, which is more of recreational games, more of games that give some sort of awareness about it. So this is the first clarity that we have.
Correct.
Apart from this, I would say it is still we are still at a figuring out stage as to why how the law will actually be implemented. Very soon we'll see some sort of rules in addition to the act which is there, which will give us a little more clarity of how they are going to define the esports, what are the different, how the licensing model will be made up, be the power of NOGC that I mentioned in the beginning. So it is, I would say we are still at an evolution stage. So let's wait and watch.
Correct. So, like the act formally also has classified,
Mhm.
esports as a competitive sport, and it promotes supportive infrastructure. Like, you can take training
Hmm.
academies or
Right.
awareness campaigns, or there are a lot of incentives. So, what are
Mhm.
the practical steps which a industry or policymakers can translate, into
Mhm.
regulatory domain or the recognition of a tangible ecosystem? How can that be formed?
The formal classification of e-sport, I think, is perhaps the most positive aspect that this new regime and this new law has actually brought in. And this is because of a huge psychological shift. But at the same time, I feel recognition alone won't build a good ecosystem.
Okay.
For this e-sport thing to actually translate into real growth, I feel both government and the industry needs to invest in local academies, regional and grassroots tournaments, and fiscal incentives for indigenous gaming studios. And then at the same time, public awareness campaign that really celebrate the cognitive and framework benefits of gaming. So we can only build a true ecosystem pipeline if infrastructure and talent nurturing becomes central to the policy agenda. And if
Okay.
we do this right, I feel India could really become a genuine hub for esport talent.
Okay. So, like, are you seeing that there is increase in e-sport activities in India? Like, what was there 5 years back or 10 years back? Has it changed? Has it evolving? Is it evolving? Is has it grown multifold? Like, what do you see as a
I
expert?
feel esport as a part of the sports industry is right now it's at a very nascent stage. Right now, like we all know, a lot of innovation that was happening was more towards what they called skill-based gaming.
Correct.
But now, real money gaming being banned, and then esport as really being highlighted point, and then esport is, I think, one thing that everybody's been talking about. So industry has really up to the whole ecosystem of esport, and now I feel it will start. to be more active within the sports industry. And I feel there'll be a lot of innovations that will be done in this domain. So
So,
yeah, now it's starting up.
so like the rummy, poker, and everything has
Mhm.
been banned. Everyone is
Mhm.
aware about it. So, like, how might the ongoing litigation reshape the
Mhm.
industry in response to the act? Like,
Mhm.
or are there any strategies which the policymakers can think of which can benefit the people, the business as an industry, or employment as a whole? I'm talking
Mhm.
as overall system. How does that work?
Mhm. Actually, I feel right now what we need is an interim strategy because
Hmm.
on the one side you see this legislation which is very much there. It has become into, I mean, it is a lot of people have started actively understanding the new legislation, and at the same time either starting a new sports company altogether or maybe pivoting to different areas where they don't fall into the but at the same time, the constitutional challenges, whether it is in the High Court or in the Supreme
Ishita, you're not audible. Hello? Am I audible? You are on mute.
Yes.
I don't
Am I
know what
audible
happened. Yeah, yeah. Now you're audible.
now? No
So
problem.
sorry.
No problem. So, would you like to ask the question again, or shall I restart
Uh,
with the answer?
you can restart with the answer because that was covered. The
Okay,
question was covered properly, I feel.
perfect. Yes. So, like I was saying, that right now what we need is actually for the companies, I would say what they need is interim strategies that they can adopt. Because on the one hand, we have this legislation in place and everybody is trying to adopt to it by either by starting a new sports companies or maybe pivoting into models which are more which are acceptable by by this new law. And on the other hand, there is still we see the litigations which are in place, whether so these ongoing constitutional challenges are still there. So I feel for the time being, my advice for anybody who's working in the sports industry, and especially if they are businesses who want to establish themselves within the sports industry, the advice would be to comply but with a legal strategy in place. They should really focus on compliant alternatives like skill-based, free-to-play models, cosmetic monetizations, and also look at global pivots. The
Correct.
winners right now, I feel, will be those who can really adapt quickly while keeping one eye on the judicial outcomes, and then if they need to readapt or to pivot once more.
Correct. So, like when you were talking about the pivoting thing, so could this be a dual pressure, like shifting the Indian regulations, and there is a lot of international expansion also going on into the sports
Mhm.
industry at present. So,
Right.
how is the Indian game? How can rather the Indian gaming companies evolve beyond monetization into this when we talk?
Um, Oddly enough, I think this ban could actually be a blessing in disguise. Now,
Okay.
Indian companies, they were really depending on real money gaming.
Okay.
But now, those being banned, they can actually look at it as a historic opportunity
Okay.
because adversity is fueling the innovation. Now, that pressure, the whole ban on real money gaming, that pressure I feel is somewhere forcing a forcing a pivot towards innovation. Now, original IPs, free to play games, and creative monetization is where now these people have started thinking. And like you correctly said, that international expansion is also accelerating. Now, Indian studios are really eyeing Southeast Asia and the Middle East and even the West. So,
Exactly.
yes, regulation right now may be restrictive, But if we take it in the right spirit, it can actually catalyze a more sustainable and more innovative industry in the longer term.
Okay. Ishita, I have a lot of questions, technical and non-technical, but I would like to ask you one last question. As a legal advisor, as a legal expert, what is one thing what all sports as a whole should keep in mind, should take care for the next coming 5 years or coming next 10 years?
I
One
feel
advice.
focus, I would say focus a lot on innovating new models. Just have always have a backup plan from an innovation perspective so that and don't invest into real money gaming. Because
Okay,
I would say, yes, that's a very lucrative industry. I am not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, but
correct.
from a regulation perspective, I think the policymakers are very clear. So the ban will always be there.
Okay,
And the second thing that I would advise is have good compliance and legal teams because
absolutely.
industry is fairly new. When you compare sports industry to other industries, I feel it is at a very nice stage right now. So understanding being on the right side is really important, and that can only happen if you have good compliance and legal advisors on your side who can not just interpret the legal changes and the compliance requirements for you, but they can also advise at the right time. So it is not, sadly enough, I see a lot of companies thinking compliance and legal teams comes into play when something
Correct.
wrong happens.
Correct.
Uh, but on the contrary, in practical experience, I can say if you have these strong teams of compliance and legal, then that you can go really long way and you can avoid a lot of problems that might be there in the absence of these teams.
Absolutely. Perfect. Ishita, we'll move on to the next segment in the podcast. That's the rapid
Hmm.
fire questions. I'll ask you a few
Okay.
questions and you will have to be quick in answering.
Okay, I will try to, but
Okay.
yes. Okay, yes.
If you had to play one online game to unwind, Rummy, chess, or PUBG?
I would choose chess
Okay,
because I feel it'll keep me sharp and relaxed at the same time.
absolutely. What's the
Hmm.
trickiest legal phrase in gaming law? Wager, stake, or
Hmm.
prize?
I would choose wager because it's this term is actually a fine line between a lawful game of skill and the unlawful game of chance. So this single word actually keeps the gaming industry on the edge.
Okay. What's trickier to explain? Gaming laws to a lawyer or Minecraft to your parents?
I would pick explaining. I mean, I'll take. I would say explaining Minecraft to parents is actually a trickier one because lawyers can still be convinced with statutes, but parents and keepers nearly impossible.
Okay. Who is your
Yeah.
favorite player of all time?
Um, I would say MS Dhoni. I mean, I feel he's the epitome of calm under pressure. He's a master strategist and a leader who's really redefined in cricket. He really showed us that the strength lies in true composure.
Abs-
So
Absolutely.
for me, I will be a Dhoni fan forever.
True. So if you had to take him out for dinner, where would you take him?
Mm, I would actually take him to this restaurant in New Delhi. It's called Indian Ascent because I feel this place is really innovative, world class, but at the same time, deeply rooted in the Indian identity. So I feel this place would give a perfect setting for conversation on leadership and legacy.
That's interesting. If you had to define Indian gaming in one word today, would you call it skill or chance?
We'll call it skill because that is actually where the future lies.
Absolutely agree. If you could advise one global, if you could advise one global gaming giant entering India, who would it be?
I will actually pick Valve Corporation. They are actually the mind behind Steam and games like Counter-Strike. And
Correct.
my advice to them will be, I would say don't just see India as a market to sell. I mean, see it as a hub to build from. Because I would say invest in grassroots esport ecosystem, partner with local developers, and you won't just build customers, but you'll actually build a legacy.
Absolutely. Perfect. Now we'll move on to the next segment. That is, you will have to answer only one question into 30 seconds.
Okay.
Okay,
Let me
that's the
try.
reason
Yeah.
I let you sink in.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
according to you,
Hmm.
how
Hmm.
can or how will AI contribute in esports and online
Hmm.
gaming, and what will be the legal and business challenges?
I feel AI will actually revolutionize gaming on two fronts. One
Okay,
would be development, and the other I feel will be player experience. It will actually accelerate game creation, generate dynamic content, and at the same time create smarter, more human-like opponents. For esport, because that is the, I would say that is the trending term right now, I feel AI will be a really powerful tool for analyzing performance and developing training regimes. The
okay,
legal and business challenges I feel with AI are going to be significant because on the legal side, the big one is the intellectual property. I mean, there are two major questions that need answers. One is intellectual property, which majorly is who actually owns the AI generated content, or
content.
who owns the code. And the second one in the legal side is I feel the data privacy,
Correct.
because how do we handle the vast amount of data that these AI systems will either generate or that will be filled into the systems? And business wise, I feel the challenge will be differentiation actually.
Okay,
Because when everyone has access to AI tools and to many powerful AI tools, the problem will be how do you create a truly unique and compelling game? The focus I
absolutely.
feel now will have to shift to even more towards human creativity, storytelling, and community building to stand out.
Okay, that's an interesting answer. Really interesting answer. Thank you, Ishita, for joining us today and sharing wonderful insights and explaining a non-legal person or a non-technical person going to their level. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I hope I am able to answer a few questions that you had. So
So
yeah.
let's keep this as the beginning, and we can, take it into the next episode and understand more legality, more of whatever sports legal is going on, and in the next episodes also. We can always think of that.
Looking forward to more interesting conversations and trying to translate legal statutes into more understandable texts. So
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. So, everyone, let's stay connected on more understanding about sports and technology in the future. Please share this episode with your friends, family, and the people who love sports technology. Thank you, Ishita. That was Ishita sharing her insights on the topic. Everyone, have a good day. Thank you. We meet you in the next episode. Until then, stay curious, stay inspired, and keep exploring.